Hi, my name is Erik Pakieser, and I'm a prop geek, and these are some of the props that I've built that I've got on display in the MarsCon Prop-A-Torium. This is a replica of the Special Atomic Demolition Munition, what some people will commonly refer to as a backpack nuclear weapon. This was something I always thought it'd be cool to have a replica of, and I was looking around for the hardest part of this, based on the reference photos I found, was the harness. And I was seriously considering scratch building the harness. I was actually looking at sourcing some of the pieces. And then I was at Axeman Surplus and happened to find a complete weapons harness. So pure stroke of luck, I was able to get this red ball harness. The way this has worked, these were used by SEAL teams back in the 1960s. They were never fielded in actual combat, but this is about a 10 kiloton nuclear warhead. And this harness would strap to the front of the wearer's parachute harness, and then they would parachute in. And they would use this to detonate, to irradiate harbors and other strategic locations in Eastern Europe in the event of an actual war. The way it would work is there's a release pin here, and then this red ball. As they're coming down their parachute, they would pull this ball, and this harness would detach, and then the entire package would be lowered on this 15-foot lowering line, so the parachutists wouldn't land directly on it. And then they and their backup guy would plant this somewhere, arm it, and then get out of Dodge. And their typical exfiltration scenario was they would jump in the water and swim out to a waiting speedboat or submarine to get away. So this is a kind of a cool prop. I got lucky because I found the harness off the shelf, and but this is the rough dimensions of the actual SATM. Despite extensive internet research, I wasn't able to get the exact measurements of a SATM, but I extrapolated this size based on photographs of SATMs that are in museums. So I hope someday I'll actually visit one of those museums and bring a tape measure with me to make sure I got it right. These are my Aliens props. I've got a pulse rifle here. This is from Spat Cave Studios, and this is their resin pulse rifle. It has a couple of neat features. I really like it. It's got a lot of detail. And the actual weapon is based off of a Thompson submachine gun. If you're familiar with the Thompson, you can see the Thompson receiver and the Thompson trigger assembly and grip here. And then of course we have the grenade launcher, which is based on a heavily modified Franchi Spaz 12 shotgun. This is probably one of the most iconic weapons in all of science fiction. And I always wanted one, and I happened to get lucky and get into a windfall shortly before Convergence a couple of years ago. So I emailed Spat and asked him for a Spulse rifle. He cast it that same day I paid him, and I had it in a couple of days, but only had about a week to put it together. So as a result, it was a kind of a hurried construction. I think it came out pretty good. Last year before the convention, I actually did a full repaint on it, and I added some real hardware to increase some of the detail on it. Something like this is really cool. It's certainly not an entry-level modeling project, but I had a lot of fun building it, and I'm looking to build a more detailed pulse rifle, what we call a hero style. This is what you call stunt style. It has no real features, nothing cocks or racks. It's all solid cast resin. What I'd really like to do would be build a hero style, which actually has a working bolt and a working pump action, and I actually started construction on that, but parts for it are a little hard to source, and so that's going to be a slow going process. Here we have a VP-70 pistol. This was also seen in the movie Aliens. You see Lieutenant Gorman using this, and then there's also a scene where Bishop, the android, climbs into like a underground tunnel. He's going to crawl from one point to another point to realign the satellite array. And Bishop, being an android, isn't that concerned about his personal safety. He climbs into the tunnel, and one of the Marines racks around in here and hands the gun to Bishop, and Bishop kind of looks at it and then hands it back to the Marine and seals himself in and goes sliding down there. But the actual gun has a really interesting history. It's got an iconic science fiction look to it. One thing I really love about it, I don't know if you can get a close-up of that, it's got this Googie style font engraved on the slide, because this actually was designed during the 1970s. And the VP stands for Volkspistol. These were made in Germany by Heckler & Koch, and the idea was to have a pistol that anybody could use, the German citizens would be able to use, German police would be able to use. And the gun is actually a very simple design, only has 4 moving parts, And if you attach a shoulder stock to it, it becomes full auto like a machine gun, so it can be used by police and military personnel. So this is kind of cool. One of the first guns ever with a polymer frame, way before Glock ever did it. So historically, it's kind of an interesting pistol. I've got a pair here of dog tag replicas and some patches from the Colonial Marine Corps. These dog tags actually have my, if you are a Colonial Marines fan, if you go to the Aliens Legacy forums, you can actually request to have a service number assigned to you using the same convention that was used by the characters in the film, so that's kind of a cool thing. This is my grenade launcher. This was most recently used in a movie called Gray State, but you've probably seen a gun similar to this used in Terminator 2. I think the first appearance of one of these was in Predator, a variation of one of these. This is the more modern version than what was in the movie Predator. These are a 6-shot grenade launcher. They open up and you load 6 grenades in, and then you actually have to wind them up to get them to work. And then as you press the trigger, they fire individual shots. They're normally used in riot control, but they do have military applications as well. And this, like I said, this particular one was used in the riot scene in the upcoming movie Gray State, so look for this in the Gray State trailers. You can find those on YouTube, and that's an interesting piece. And then this is something I think is really cool. You're not going to see one of these very often. What I have here looks kind of like a utility flashlight or possibly a laptop battery if I were to remove the flashlight from it, but it is in fact a submachine gun, and I'll demonstrate. We start off with the gun in folded configuration, and then we just flick the wrist there, and we've got a submachine gun here. This is made by Magpul Industries. And what happened was Magpul built Magpul's a firearms company that specializes in working with polymers and adapting polymers to modern firearms. And Magpul built a prototype of this for display a few years ago. This was the single most popular item they ever built. They had more inquiries about this than anything else that they had built. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, they decided that they weren't going to actually market these, that they were just going to be a prototype. But what they did do to kind of shut us Magpul fanboys up, was they marketed toys of them, and so I was able to get one of these shipped to me from a manufacturer in Hong Kong. But it's really cool. It's actually a Glock pistol inside of here, and you can see the Glock slide inside. And it's select fire, semi or full automatic, and it's actually got sights on it, so you could use this as on a bodyguarding mission or covert operation. This gun actually, I believe, I'm not sure, but I have been told this gun makes an appearance in the video game Modern Warfare 3. So, and that's my collection. I've been collecting, or what I have on. I shouldn't say it's my collection. It's a small piece of my collection I have on display here at MarsCon. I've been collecting props for pretty much my whole life. We come to conventions for over 10 years here in Minnesota, and I've been involved in shooting sports and firearms training for over 20 years. And it's just a hobby I really enjoyed, and I really enjoy the military science fiction stuff.